the 19th of September came the bombshell, and the bombshell was Bashash 2017. Again, this was published in Environmental Health Perspectives. It was a prenatal study, one of the first to look at the fetus exposed to fluoride as opposed to the child. I mean, right up to this point, when we see a lowered IQ of the children, we don't know if it's IQ being lowered whilst they were infants, bottle feeding, or whether it's IQ lowered during pregnancy, when they're in the womb. We didn't know. This is the first time that anybody had set out to look at that. So it's a 12-year study. It's a multi-million-dollar study, and it's funded by US government agencies, the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Institute of Health, and the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences. Important. The authors came from many prestigious institutions: University of Toronto, University of McGill, Harvard, Indiana, Michigan, Mount Sinai, and a Mexican institute. What did they do? They examined approximately 300 mother-offspring pairs. So you measure something in the mother and you measure something in the offspring, and they're linked, they're pairs of data. Both exposure and outcomes were determined on an individual basis. All the studies before this point had been measuring communities, the level of community in the fluoride, the level in the water of the group, and the level of the water of the control. Comparing communities. These are called ecological studies, and they have the lowest weight from epidemiological point of view. What we have here are individual-based measurements. And the mother's exposure to fluoride during pregnancy was determined via their urine levels. Now that's incredibly important, because there are many sources of fluoride out there. Tea, water if you're fluoridated or if it's natural, food, some foods are high in fluoride, any food with bones in it is going to be high in fluoride, and fluoridated water, fluoridated salt is used in Mexico. This study was done in Mexico City. But the level of fluoride in the urine gives you a total measure of the woman's exposure to fluoride. So it doesn't matter if she got the fluoride from water or from toothpaste or anything else. Total exposure. That's our measurement of one data point.
How does it come out in the urine? Is it like calcium fluoride, or is it something?
It's fluoride ion. Once the fluoride is in water, anything like calcium fluoride, sodium fluoride is irrelevant, because in water an ionic substance splits up into the separate ions. Positive. They don't know each other. It's just like, say you've got sodium chloride, salt. As far as the chemist is concerned, a solution of sodium chloride is two chemicals. You've got sodium ions free in water and chloride ions in free water. Totally separate chemistries. You can study them separately, you can test for them separately. And the sodium ions and sodium chloride will be identical to the sodium ions and sodium fluoride. So yes, what you measure in the urine is free fluoride ions with a fluoride-sensitive electrode. Notice they controlled for all the variables that the Chinese studies were criticized for not controlling for all these variables. It's extremely difficult in epidemiology to get two communities which are similar in every characteristic. It's very difficult. So you have to control for these different things so that you really are looking at the one thing that you're examining, which in this case is fluoride and the outcome. Okay. Now, they looked at the IQ of these women's offspring at the age of 4 and again at 6 to 12. And what they found is that for every 1 milligram per liter increase in the concentration in the woman's urine, there was a 5 to 6 IQ point drop in those offspring, matched pairs. You'll see the significance of that in a moment. Well, here we are. Now, see the bottom, that is the maternal urine fluoride, the level of fluoride in the mother's urine. And that blue area, that blue bracket, is the range of mother's urine levels in the United States. That's the range. Over here, the red bracket, if you go across to the curve, shows you what the IQ drop, and that's the 5 to 6 IQ point drop. In other words, for the expected range in the United States, the IQ drop would be 5 to 6 IQ points. So what we're looking at here is a top-class study looking at effects which correspond to what we're exposed to in the United States. Oh. Now they criticize. Oh, well, you'll see the criticism in a moment. This is their conclusion. In this study, higher levels of maternal urinary fluoride during pregnancy, a proxy for prenatal fluoride exposure, that are in the range of levels of exposure in other general population samples of pregnant women, as well as non-pregnant adults, were associated with the lower scores on tests of cognitive function in the offspring at 4 and 6 to 12 years of age. Devastating study. Got very little media attention. And this is what the American Dental Association said in an interview 1 minute after it was published. In other words, they were ready with their press release. They'd obviously got a pre-copy, so they're ready with their press release. And when the journalist goes out to get comments from them, they're ready with it. And here's the comment from the American Dental Association. The American Dental Association examined a study in environmental health perspectives based on fluoride intake in Mexico and concludes the findings are not applicable to the United States. The ADA continues to endorse fluoridation of public water as the most effective public health measure to prevent tooth decay. We've seen statements like that coming out from the ADA for the past 50 years. It doesn't matter what the study is. It's always the same. This is what the author, the prime author, the guy that heads up the study of this particular cohort, which has been investigated for over 20 years, Howard Hugh. Remember that name. Many of the experts here are going to be working for us or testifying in our court case. He's one of them. Okay. He said he was interviewed in the same article in the Toronto newspaper. This is a very rigorous epidemiological study. You just can't deny it. It's directly related to whether fluoride is a risk to the neurodevelopment of children. To say it has no relevance to the folks in the United States seems disingenuous.